Hey, I'm Tim Harrison, and I am a Kingdom Factory coach working for the last year to pull together Christian business owners, Christian leaders, organization leaders into cohorts, helping them to leverage their lives and businesses for the kingdom. So, in the process, I have been making lots of new friends, and I have this thought like, I wish everybody could meet this new friend of mine and hear about their lives and their stories. And so, this is Jack Harshbarger. And Jack and I have been meeting a little bit to get to know each other. And when I met Jack, I just felt like God said, I'm blessing you with a treasure trove of experiences that the world needs to know about. And just had a heart to want to help Jack, get the word out about how he can leverage all these experiences and the wisdom that God's given him and the passion that he has for these days. So this is Jack Harshbarger. And Jack, one thing that I've learned very quickly about you is that you have a passion for helping create customer delight. Share a little bit about how that came about.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. So I was working at the Xerox Corporation, Rochester, New York, for 19 years, having a wonderful career and rising up through the management ranks. And I had some responsibility influence on revenues and profits. The corporation decided to hire a new president of that division, which I reported to. After about 5 months, this individual decided that it would be a good time to go meet with the president, a CEO of the whole corporation. So he called us together, all of the people who had some influence on revenues and profits. And he asked us how we're doing and what we had and how things are going. And so each of us were reporting. And so he went around the room, he listened. And I was the first person he asked. He came back to me. He says, well, Jack, he said, I don't want to report the numbers of revenue and profit that you're giving me. I'd like them to be higher.
Hmm.
And I said, but sir, I said, that's what they are. So that went back and forth a little while. And finally he said, okay, Jack, he said, I'm ordering you to increase the reported revenues and profits to the IRS and SEC.
Wow.
I was a Christian at the time and I said, no. He said, okay, you're fired. Please leave the room. Xerox had a wonderful firing process at the time. They put you in an office with no assignment, and you had 6 months to find a job. Working through a close friend of mine at the church that I went to, he informed me that Kodak was in the process of spending $19 billion and starting new businesses.
Hmm.
And they were struggling with a lot of the businesses. And so he put me in touch with one of the businesses over there. And through some interviews, I got hired as a general manager of a business. The previous startup general manager had been fired because they had no products and no revenue. So I got hired to launch the business with products and revenue in 18 months, or I would be fired.
Hmm.
Two things happened as a result of that. I'd been wanting to apply more biblical principles of leadership to how people are led in organizations.
Mhm.
And this was an opportunity to do that since I was in charge. So that worked very well. I won't go there right now, but I want to talk more about the entrepreneurship and the customer delight things that happened out of that same experience. By the way, on the first point, we had a book was published called Perfect Leadership. It's under a pen name of Emmanuel Cooper. A publisher felt there were things in the book that could be a problem legally.
Mhm.
So we had to use a pen name. So back to the story about customer delight. So this particular product was to be a very sophisticated printer. In the case of, and it was printing dots, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black dots to represent the press. When a press owner turns on the press and tries to print 50 million copies of something, they would like to have the ads to be absolutely perfect. And so a whole industry has been created and is still out there on proofing before you turn the press on. 3M Corporation dominated that situation and they proofed their colors onto their paper.
Mhm.
As it turned out later, as we got into this and talked to lots of customers, because their ad agency is a customer, the printer is a customer, the pre-press proofing company is a customer, and the integrator who takes your color printer and integrates it into the color computer is also a customer.
Okay.
So the customer scenario was very complex, very complex. As we got into that, we found that one of the main requirements, which nobody could meet, was to proof the color on the paper stock, the actual paper stock that the printer was going to print on, because there are many, many shades of white. And many people who know that don't have to be a color expert.
Hmm.
But so I turned back to my 125 engineers and I challenged them. I said, come up with a technology and an imaging, color imaging process that will proof on any paper stock.
Okay.
They did. They did. It was a miracle. 137 patents were issued around that. And when we introduced it to the marketplace in Dusseldorf, Germany at drupa, which is the trade show of choice by this industry, it occurs every 4 years, like the Olympics. It was very, very well received because no one else could do it. And even as I know today, I still think no one can do it, how it was done. What did this do? This satisfied some customer aspect that was delightful to those people because for 15 years they had nothing that would do that.
Right.
And so that got me starting thinking about customer delight. And customer delight, and another way of looking at it, is the proactive evangelism of whatever you're exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
My next experience with this was a personal experience. My wife is a gourmet chef. I would call her that because she is,
Mm-hmm.
but she doesn't like to shop for the food. So she sends me off to the grocery store, the list to buy the food. So I show up at Trader Joe's. First time I've ever been there. I don't know where anything is. And I'm just standing there with my list. Suddenly an employee comes up to me and says, "Sir, how can I help you?" Oh, okay. In many grocery stores that I've gone into before, I have a hard time finding somebody.
Right.
And then there's a hard time finding somebody who knows where the thing is you're looking for. And there's 14 aisles and so on. And often they don't even know. So anyway, I got excited about that. At first, I said, well, my first item is this. And he took me by the hand. He didn't say, go to aisle 6. He took me to that aisle, pointed me directly to the products. I bought what I needed. I started to turn away. Sir, he said, I see you have 6 more items.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to help you with those. I mean, you said every one of those? He said, sure.
Wow.
So that got me further into this delight and proactive evangelism. So I was very excited about that experience. I said, wow, I think they've got a customer here for life. But as I dug into Trader Joe's, they have other things. They deliberately do not put a number on the aisle because it's going to be a person, an employee that's going to take you there.
Mm.
They don't care about the numbers.
Okay.
You don't ever get confused about it. Okay, that's enough. And then when you're checking out, the employees are very, very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
They literally look at you and
They ask
talk to
about
you.
your day, your
Yeah,
plans.
they look at they looking at your soul actually. What's going on with you? What are you doing? It wasn't, hey, it was not a trivial exchange.
Right.
A very, very good. So I looked at this further and I found out that they didn't really spend any money on advertising. They split it into 2 buckets. They pay their employees 1.5 times of any other grocery store in the area. So
Mm-hmm.
and also the benefits are better. Also, the training is twice as long. These people are almost interchangeable parts in the grocery store. And then the last thing they did with the money is they lowered the price of the products, which made it very attractive to anyone that's going through a tough time. So you have single parents who are struggling. You have where 2 parents are working. They're under a lot of time pressure. Many of them are taking their children to school, to events and activities and so on. And they'd really like to get in the grocery store, get it done, and get out of there pretty quickly,
Right.
and have it both smooth and not have any hiccups. That's what you have at Trader Joe's. There's no hiccups.
Mm-hmm.
The employees there all over you to help you get through quickly and have low prices.
Yeah.
And so it's a win-win situation for all these parents who are under tremendous pressure today in the marketplace. So I formed a business around this called Thank Goodness It's Monday, LLC. And this is October 28th. And I'm going to be speaking about that this evening in a group for the first time. And also, I have formed partnerships with launch pads in Greenville, and maybe others are developing in Columbus, I'm sorry, in Columbia, South Carolina as well, and to take what we have here and in in the whole area of customer delight or I'm sorry.
It's okay. Tonight, you're actually speaking on how to have a Trader Joe's reputation,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, reputation. That's exactly right, Tim.
What are some of the things that you're gonna be sending people home with from that conversation? What are maybe some of the
Yeah.
main?
Yeah, I want to send them home, first of all, with some excitement
Mhm.
that there's really something there. And I'm going to share a few. I've worked with 100 small businesses
Okay.
to try to help them with this. And I learned a lot of things that small businesses are failing at very high rates in the first 5 years. And so I'd like to share a couple of stories about that to what I found in small businesses. The first one was a guy named Monty Chilson came to me, and this was in North Carolina. I was teaching in college at the time. That was my daytime job. My nighttime job was teaching people entrepreneurship and teaching them customer delight.
Mhm.
So he came to me. He had been in Charlotte, North Carolina. He had moved to Hendersonville, North Carolina, with his wife. His wife was a nurse. She got a job. He had a master's degree in plumbing and electrical. He wanted to build a trades business around that. This is some time ago. So I worked with him on that, and we came out with some things that delighted customers. And each of you who hear this story will think about the times you've interacted with tradespeople.
Mm.
Tradespeople have, for whatever reason, don't show up on time. Sometimes they don't show up for days, and they don't call. So Monty, we established a practice that he would call his customers 15 minutes before he arrived on the day he's supposed to be there and say, in 15 minutes, I'll be there.
Mhm.
Wow, that took away one of the things that they were very concerned about. The next thing is the customers, when it's a multi-day job, they don't clean up at night. It's
Mm.
just a messy situation. My wife would go bonkers over that. So he would clean up, absolutely clean, sparkle clean, vacuum down, mop the floor, whatever it was. Very, very clean operation. The next thing he did is that if the projects ultimately are not finished on time,
Right.
that's another problem in the trades area. So he gave a promise in writing to customers. If they don't finish on his projected day and time, he will give them a 10% reduction in their situation, in their quote. So with these kinds of things and a few other things, he built a tremendous business.
Mhm.
In 5 years, he had 4 vans and 25 employees. That's from giving customers what delight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another situation, a young lady came to me and she said, sir, she said, I don't think I really need any help. Last week, I was at a show, a fair in a small town in North Carolina, and I sold 100 sets of doggy clothes, custom designed doggy clothes. Every one of them different, different materials, different mottos, different sayings, and along with it would be the master's sweater, and it would be their clothes that match that. And she said, I sold 100 sets. So she says, I'm off and running. And I said, well, okay, sounds great. I said, I just have one question. If you can answer it, then I'm all for it. Go for it. I said, do you know why they bought the clothes? She said, what do you mean? I said, well, was it the price? Was it your smile? Was it the design, the materials, the motto, the fact that you had something that matched from the dog to the owner? I mean, and other things. What was it? She said, well, I have no idea. I said, you got to know.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, there's another fair in another town here next couple of weeks. Go there. Ask the question. What is it? So she did that, found out that 85% of the customers responded with one thing. It was the motto, the words that were on the dog
Hmm.
and the matching saying that was on the owners.
Mm-hmm.
And that was triggered it, not the
That's it.
price, not the materials, not the design. And my goal is to help any company find that
Okay.
and deliver it to their customers. And in another separate session, we will offer up some general guidelines for how to discover this. The first step is to where do you look? where are all the places you can look for this? And
Mhm.
it's a long list.
Mhm.
The next thing is, how do you get the customers to talk about delight? This is a word they're not familiar with,
Mm.
haven't used before. We don't want to talk about customer satisfaction. Don't want to talk about unmet needs. We don't want to talk about something special.
Mm.
All those words, for whatever reason, don't trigger the customer's thinking and their brain, their mind to think about
Right.
this. The word delight seems to trigger these things.
Mm.
And so
It's almost
that's
like
what
it connects it with the heart. Like there's something that's
that's
there.
right. That's right, Tim.
Mhm.
Connected with the heart. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, so I'm looking to offer that to small businesses or any other business. And I found the entrepreneurship processes that I have found around the country as well as here in
Mhm.
Greenville, South Carolina, they do not do that. They do not.
Mhm.
And there's another important factor about that. You got to know the number of customers and influencers in the buying decision. You got to know the basic customer requirements. And if you want to be successful over time, you got to know the customer delight requirements,
Mhm.
separate thing. All of those things known inform what happens next, which is the competitive analysis, all the financial analysis, all the industry analysis. You get the front end wrong, it leads you in the wrong path
Right.
and to failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get started right, you end up right.
So, Jack, with just your dream as far as come alongside uh, entrepreneurs and businesses that want to transform their culture and those kinds of things, what is it that would be a next step for people to connect with you?
Okay. They can find out more about this on my website
Mhm.
at fivestarborrower.com. I'd like,
5 star, the number five
yes, I'm number
star
5 star. Most people
borrower.
are very comfortable with what 5 stars means.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so let's talk about that word borrow.
yeah.
Thank you for asking. So if I'm an individual and I have enough money, I can borrow money from myself to start the business.
Mhm.
Bootstrapping, it's called
Right.
sometimes. Yep. And so, but I'm borrowing money from myself, and I fully have an expectation that when it goes successful, I'll pay myself back and
Mhm.
more. If not, I'm borrowing from family, from friends, from
Mhm.
angel investors, maybe from VCs, other sources, but they're all expecting me to pay back. People are well aware at this point that banks are risk adverse and not interested in loaning to startups. They will if you're somewhere into the business and you have a proven track record. They'll help you then.
Right.
But on startups, you got to find other sources.
Right.
And so I want to teach the people who are starting this business to be a 5 star borrower, which means they're going to be very successful at paying themselves back or anyone else that they might have borrowed from.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. And how does that connect with the customer delight kind of passion you have when you connected with 5 star borrower and walking with entrepreneurs? What's the connection there?
Hmm. What's the connection to? That's too hard of a question.
So once they become the borrower, I'm guessing that they're building a business, and in the midst of that, you're going to be helping them to see how to continue on creating
Yeah, I'm very passionate about helping them figure out how many customers they have and how many influencers they have.
Mhm.
And most of the small businesses are not coming close to understanding how complex that is. It's
Mhm.
a pretty complex situation.
Mhm.
It's not simple at all. For example, suppose I am a founder and I'm going to have a piece of software that's going to create a game, a software game, and enter that marketplace, which is a huge marketplace.
Mhm.
So who exactly, if it's a 17-year-old, 15-year-old person coming into the store, where did the money come from?
Mhm.
And what did the parents say to that person about what kind of game that you can buy and bring into my house?
Right.
There's some games out there that might not be acceptable. And so, and then who else might have influenced? Maybe there's other teenagers in there who said, hey, when you go down to that store, get one like this for me. And so it's a complex situation,
Yeah.
and each of those people have their own passions and interests, and you got to spend a quality amount of time at the front end getting that right. Once you've got that right, the next step is what are the basic requirements for this thing to function?
Mhm.
And then the last step is the thing no one's doing, which is the customer delight requirements.
Mhm.
And that might be one thing or several things. I've worked with over 400 companies, Tim, and the solutions so far did not require high tech, did not require AI, even though they could do things, didn't need it. They were very easily things that you could have implemented into your business and be successful. And it's very exciting to see that happen. And I build on my experience at Kodak with that, where we were proofing to the paper, the actual paper stock. Could have been rice paper, could have been National Geographic cardstock. And then what I learned from just watching at Trader Joe's and seeing, my goodness, and then working with 400 small businesses over 8 years in a small business center at North Carolina. I developed it further into some rigorous things. So we start with some general guidelines to them to think about, and then we got to get specific because every business is specific.
Yeah.
By the way, some of the hardest businesses are things like restaurants and grocery stores. And Trader Joe's is a grocery store. But there's a lot of other grocery stores that are not around anymore, and a lot of restaurants that fail. A restaurant is a very hard business. I have one success story. I can't follow everyone that happened, but there's a restaurant. I don't mention this, but there's a restaurant in Hendersonville, North Carolina called Never Blue. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there after, I think it's now 17 years it's been there. It's still in success. So they followed the whole customer delight thing, and customers really get a nice treatment when they walk in there. Thank you.
And as we're wrapping up this conversation, if you're talking with an entrepreneur who is looking to get a business up and going, what is the one question that you would provide them that needs to be answered in order to really get things going in a good direction?
Well, that one question is what are you delivering to your customers that's going to cause them to proactively go out and seek their neighbors and evangelize your products and services?
Awesome. There you go. Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, that's why I was so eager to introduce Jack, my new friend, to you. And so thanks for this conversation, Jack, that we can share with others. And don't forget, if you'd like to connect with Jack, you can find his website, 5starborrower.com. And Jack's a great person to grab coffee with, and his heart and wisdom will come out, and you'll enjoy that. So thank you for taking time to share this conversation, and blessings on your day. Bye now.
Amen.